Welcome to Delusion. Not just a podcast, a state of mind. We'll redecode what makes the 1% different. I'm Chaz Galata, a professional basketball skills trainer and performance specialist. If you're looking for what it actually takes to separate from the pack, this podcast is for you. Yeah, to be honest, I didn't want to own my own business or start anything. Really what I was looking for was I wanted to do my current job that I was doing at a very elite level. So a little backstory. So at the time when I started, training and on the court, I was currently a strength coach. I kind of found a passion for that a little bit in high school and really found that stride in college. But, for me, I grew up, my dad's a coach. I grew up, basketball was all I knew. That's all I really did. And then, I made really, really big, gains in the weight room, especially for my sophomore to junior year, where I put on a ton of muscle, got a lot stronger, and I started making a premium on that, not only just, in the weight room, but on the court. So fast forward, I'm getting near the end. I'm getting close to, getting my major in exercise science, and I need an internship. Through a connection of my coach at the time, he hooked me up with a guy, Brian Fitzmaurice, and I got my first internship there. And lo and behold, after a couple weeks, he ended up offering me a job, and I started down that path of, being a strength coach. And then, at that point, like, oh, I love being number two. I just love, taking right his brand and vision and just kind of building on that. And so initially, I just thought I was just going to be doing that the rest of my life, especially with, basketball wasn't working out the way I wanted it to once I finished college. But things kind of changed when a couple years down the road, I get a call. I end up getting a call and getting a opportunity to go play professionally in South America. When that happens, I immediately am like, yes, I'm down for it. Now, during this time, when I had originally said goodbye to basketball, I was kind of depressed about it. Didn't leave basketball on my own terms. I didn't touch a basketball, wouldn't watch basketball. Like, I just did not want to be around the game. So I picked up other vices. So I really got into golf at the time, and then that was around COVID, in that 2020. And I also really got into weightlifting and that even more. So I found all these different hobbies that I could put all of my energy to now that I wasn't doing this thing that I've known my whole life, that I've done every day for hours my whole life. So when I got that opportunity, I had just recently fell back in love with basketball again. And I was just working out just to work out. So it was this perfect mix of like my body was ready because I was really attacking the weight room hard and really getting strong. I was very in shape. At the time, I was working on my game and finding enjoyment with what I was doing, and being creative, and looking and working in my game in a different way. That I think it set me up for success as I went overseas and did really well. Um, so after that kind of happened, I kind of got home and decided that, that was it. I was done. I had got my pro card. I fulfilled that dream, knowing that, I had a girl at the time that I wanted to make my wife, and, wanted to move forward with that. So I was back in, and, now I'm going to be a strength coach, until I had a bunch of people beg me to train. So instead of me deciding, kind of, my mindset was, well, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. And so as I began to set a business up and do it, Brian at the time, he really empowered me and wanted me to do it. My wife, my current wife now, Kylie, she empowered me and said, you'd be really good at this. And so that's kind of how it started, you know. And that was kind of the start of everything. you know, so as I'm picking a name and everything, nothing super creative. I literally just took my initials and then added hoops to the end, and started training. Right. Didn't try to create a fancy name. Didn't try to create a fancy logo. And everything. It literally at the time was a silhouette with CG hoops text on it. Um, and got a website and started rolling. Fast forward, things start to go well and everything, and now it's kind of built into what we are now, where I went from having um, a full-time job and doing this on the side, right? Working probably 60 hours a week or so, to adding in content along with that. So then that would take another, at the time it was insane, where I'd get to work at 8, go 8 to 12. Then I had a 3 hour break, 3 to 7, get off at 7. Um, 7:30 to 9:30 or 10, I'm training. Or if I didn't have anybody, that's where I started to do film and to film content. Well, once the content and everything was shot, again, came back home and I edited that, posted the video, boom, rinse, recycle, did the same thing the next day. So it was kind of this thing where it's like this kind of hamster wheel of, a grind phase. It's the um, it's the Rocky montage that no one sees. Um, and a lot of times like that's kind of, if you want to look at it from a bigger lens across and look at your own life, I mean that's kind of like everyone's got to go through their version of what that Rocky phase looks like, the Rocky cut scene that makes you super motivational. And for everyone it takes about a minute long, a minute to 2 minutes. That's how long that cutscene is. And in actuality, that's somebody's 1 to 3 to 5 years. So it's really tough for someone in the now and everything. It's just like, again, that's what, when people look back, it's like you don't understand it until you look back, right? And so it's like, when do you look back, right? Do you look back in a week? Oh, nothing. You move on. Do you look back in 2, 3, 4 years? And it's kind of one of those things where like I look at the lens of I'm very, very happy with not looking back and just putting my foot down and not really expecting anything. And the longer you can do something without expecting success or gratification or anything, I think the bigger that reward is when you turn around. Um, and so that's kind of what's happened. So I end up eventually leaving Fitz, and then starting it full time, and then I bring somebody on, and then we grow a little bit bigger, get a little bit more gym time, are able to get impact some more basketball players. Our name gets out more. Social media is crushing at this point as we make a few different tweaks on how we're doing stuff, which by the way was an accident. I mean, the only reason I started social media was to give kids who didn't have the opportunity to train with me an opportunity to learn, um, you know, and share my knowledge in a way that people can accept it in a short form concept. Um, but you know, fast forward another 6 months, get another guy to hop on staff, and now we've grown our team to we got 4 or 5 people on staff. People that are creating something really special. I mean, you see the gym behind me. Um, this again has all happened in 4 years, right? And as I stand here now, I'm thinking, man, it happened fast, right? But like 4 years is a very long time. And so it's like I think a lot of people, they overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can do in 5 to 10 years. And so um you have to have that frame of reference of like, I'm not doing this for tomorrow, I'm doing this for 2, 3, 4 years from now. um and so it's like you're trying to make that guy's life easier. And again, the goals and everything, you're gonna just walk past them, right? And it's gonna be like, it'll happen when you have that mindset. um, but I think a lot of people, I see it in with a lot of the clients and friends and other people I've had who, like, we've talked about basketball specifically, who really cuts it out and makes it as professional athletes or a professional basketball player, and the world that I see more. And it's not always the best and the most talented. It's the one that just kept going. And so like the person that just refuses and just shows up and shows up and shows up, people will kind of look around and be like, oh, he should just start his life. He should just, why is he um, what they don't understand is he already has. This is the life he's chosen. His dreams aren't to maybe, be in the States or be around family or whatever. His dreams are maybe to travel and play basketball, and they just love the game that much. So it's like everyone's love for certain things are just different in the areas of life and what they want. So you have to kind of look at it through that frame as well, because I don't like to judge people's really their decisions on some of those things, because it's like it's so situational to like who they are as a person. And now again, I mean, you want to make sure that the needle's moving forward and you're just not going on this constant hamster wheel that doesn't lead you anywhere, right? um so you got to also keep that in mind and put yourself in good situations, right? But when you're looking at, everyone's got their own race, right? And so it's like I can't judge whatever their race is and everything. So it's like, stay ten toes down to your own, and keep moving forward. But when it comes to like what we're creating and CG hoops, and now trying, this podcast and everything, we're trying to really build things that impact lives, and that my son eventually um, will look back on and kind of be proud of, right? It's because at the end of the day, it's bigger than me. It's bigger than any individual, right? I'm passionate about growing the game, right? I'm passionate about sharing knowledge. I don't like people who sit here and try to gatekeep information for selfish reasons or for whatever. There's information that's out there that I think should be accessed for everyone. I think knowledge is meant to be shared, copied, it reiterated, and evolved. Like that's what happens. I mean, you look at anything, that's kind of the progress of what happens. So it's like, before you know anything, it's just imitation and copying, right? Once you have a base of information where you understand it, then that turns into like, oh, now I have the ability to kind of be creative out of the information I have, right? Then maybe you look at things through another lens, and then and that's where you start to get your own perspectives, your own beliefs on those things, right? So it's like, um, if people are using, the things that I do or teach or say, right? I was like, I want that to happen because it helps everyone grow the game. Because if it's just up to me or singular individuals to do it, it's very, very difficult to do. But if I can impact and motivate and inspire a person to do something that I'm doing, and then another person, I look at that as a good thing, because it's impacting the things that I'm passionate about. And so then now we can have higher level conversations, right? It forces me to grow. And that's ultimately what this is about, this podcast, and what I want to preach to each and every one of my clients and people that are around me. Um, so that's kind of the precipice of like why and how CG Hoops kind of has come into the framework. And our overall mission, is not only to create, great basketball players, but better people as well. So if we can combine all of that and everything, we can use basketball as that medium to grow mentally, physically, emotionally, and get outside of our comfort zone, and push that threshold, and understand that, hey, we all have more that's inside. You're meant for something, right? You're put here to do something special, and it's up to you to find out what that is. This is my way of trying to help people get there. When it push comes to shove, I think we all need to understand that, you need other people to do that, right? So the person behind the camera, right? The person behind, what makes CG Hoop special and what makes us special. It's the people. And, like like any great thing, it's about the people that are there, right? It's not just about like the facility and the fancy features. I mean, so that's again, like I said, like that's kind of like why CG Hoops was presented, or kind of started, and then said that's kind of how it's kind of formed and grew, and now it oversees a lot more. And now it's like, we get into the skill side of things. It's like now we're super passionate about certain things from the skill side. Like currently we're in our off season. And so now, like as we get to this off season, like there's certain things that like I think middle school players and high school players should be doing. Even college guys should be doing to prepare um, this off season to lead to next into the next year. Um, and I think one thing that well, I'll give you three things, right? So one, I think one, starting as a middle school athlete, right? Starting in that sixth, seventh grade, like you should be starting to, if you're not, working on your body, right? That's learning foundational functional strength, right? Um, Mastering some of those movements, right? The Russians call it movement mastery, where you just perform and perfect these movements at a high level. Then you can build and add strength later when your body matures enough to do it. Um, that's one thing that I think every athlete, as a seventh grader, needs to be starting. And by the time you're a freshman, that should be already be happening. Like if it's not happening, at least a couple times a week by the time you hit a freshman year, you're already kind of behind. And if you look at the new landscape of college basketball and the specialization of sport in general, if you do a different sport or if you're doing basketball, you have to be more prepared and more skilled than ever. So you have to give your body the opportunity to do that. Second thing is uh, if you're playing 2 to 3 games every single weekend, minimum you should be working on your game for triple the amount of time that you're playing games. Um, the idea that I like to look at it is like the most skilled players have a better opportunity to have impacts on their team, right? So if I'm skilled with the ball can find my hand more easily than somebody that is not skilled. Okay. It's very, very plain and it's very easy to see that, but like it's as simple as that. More skilled players, people who can dribble the ball better, get that more. If you can shoot the ball better, you get more shots. It tends to be what it is. Um, but looking through that and understanding that, then you can kind of break it down further of like, okay, like what did I do to get better this summer? I played on a team. We practiced once or twice a week. What do we do at practice that accomplished it? How many plays did I learn that I'm not going to carry over? How many games did I play that we blew a team out or got blown out ourselves? I think you can learn more lessons by getting blown out than blowing a team out. Um, because you're just, again, especially at the younger ages, you're just usually probably more athletic and bigger. So it's like if I'm a sixth, seventh, eighth grader, I'm beating a team and we shot 25, 30 layups and we won, 75 to 20. I'm like, there's 15 buckets there that were literally not layups at the rim from fast break opportunities. So it's like the you just did layup lines for a game and I don't know what you're doing and everything, but it's like that isn't moving the needle forward, right? So we can we can change the way that we look at the game by focusing on, okay, let's take a more an initiative on the skill development side, and then we can kind of you know um, really from that lens improve exactly what we need to work on for the next level, whether that's ability to shoot a three, whether that's my ability to take one or two hard dribbles and make a play out of it. uh, if I leave it up to the game, man, that's tough. Like it just it's impossible to leave. I mean, you're just leaving up to chance at that point. So the games are, I think, good and valuable, but you can always make that up later. Like there's always games you can play. I think people need to take a more of a premium of not just skill work and not just like working hard and dribbling the ball harder and everything, but like things that actually translate, like these micro skills, right? Like where do you dribble the ball? Like how do you get into your shot? Like are you able to get it off quickly? Um, and then not only that, but like the last thing that I think that, high school, middle school players should be really focusing on is finding a way to get in a gym that's not with a coach or trainer. Be on your own. Like do something creative. Do something that is like unstructured and not so meticulous. Like I think there needs to be some fun that happens within the game. And if you do that, I think you end up finding more success. Like all the best players talk about how many hours they spent. Oh, I watched this guy on the NBA and I watched him do a move. And I went out there and I did it for 2, 3 hours, copying a move, right? Find something on Instagram, boom, try and do that move and just have fun with it. I think there's too many people that don't have fun at the younger ages or even high school. And I even think college guys should do some of that too, right? Let's build in some more creativity. Basketball is meant to evolve and be creative. It's not meant to be these subset of strict rules that, well, this is it. It's like, no, that's not how the game works. I was like, the game is meant to be, let's go play in the gray area. Let's break these rules. Let's try something different that makes us push the envelopes of what's possible within the game, right? Because if it always stood the same and everything, a guy like Wimby would still just be under the rim, and you wouldn't get to see the insanity that he's able to do. Giannis would have never been given the ball at the top of the key, and so you'd only see him as a back to the post guy, right? But the game and the evolution of everything, and each player is meant to be and do more. That's the lens that I choose to believe the game is meant to be played in. And I don't like to put limiters on, a kid just because they're big early or small, right? Well, I don't know what they'll be. And so it's my job to give you the tools and the mindset and combat that with like, let's get back to like enjoying the game and having fun with it to a point to where it can be serious, right? But it can also be fun. And so if you see the best players, like I always go back to the Warriors when they were 63 and 9 or 73 and 9. They looked like they were having a blast the entire year, right? When I think of like, I've had coaches lock in, like strict face, whatever. And for me, like that just never was me. Like I need to laugh and joke or whatever and everything, but they can turn it on, right? You got to be able to turn that on and take that seriousness. That's what really good players can do. They can be here and then boom, the moment it's their rep, the intentionality, the focus, the crispness, the I see the game within what I'm doing, right? The intensity behind that. You that can be trained and that can be taught and everything, but again, I think just getting back to being on your own and trying to figure out how to get better on your own. Because at that point, you take ownership of your own development and you're not relying on everybody else. All right. And that's where the real growth will come. But, moving forward, we're gonna bring some guests on. We're gonna take this kind of to the next level and try to make this as dope as possible as we move forward. This is the first time I'm doing this and everything. So, 100 episodes from now, I'm gonna look at this and I'm gonna be sick to my stomach about how I talk and everything. So, the way that I approach this and everything will change and evolve and develop. Yeah, I mean, if you enjoy this or you're interested in this, or you want certain topics to be talked about and everything, boom, like what I want you to do is, shoot us a message or comment or anything of that nature. But if this provides any type of value with you, share this with all the people that you think would really enjoy this. So yeah, well, that's it. All right, till next time.